Hello and welcome. Welcome to Salamander's virtual event for issue 56. We're really excited to have you here. Really appreciate you taking the time um, to celebrate the issue with us and with these fabulous readers that we have. And just a quick moment before I go into the some kind of what's the word, housekeeping, a little bit of housekeeping items. I'll just say whatever you've survived, whatever you've gone through in your life to get here to this moment, in this big, often dark world that we live in. I appreciate you taking the time to be here and to make time for literature in these words. So one quick thing I want to say before we get to our awesome readers is if you have this issue, you know that we recently announced our first annual winner of the Luisa Solano Memorial Emergent Poet Award. That award's going to Maria Espicone, and you should look for, I think we'll announce this in our newsletter. Part of this award is getting an e-chapbook of sorts published on the website. So you'll be seeing some more of Maria Espicone's work. And we'll actually be doing a reading. If you've been following our virtual events, we usually do virtual events in March and October, but this is our first summer reading, and I'm really excited for that. And we'll be doing a celebratory event in October to celebrate this Luisa Solano Memorial Award, which was judged this first time around by the poet Rajiv Mohabir. And here's a little more of an explanation on the award. The award is generously funded by Suffolk University's Ellen LaForge Memorial Poetry Fund. This award is given retroactively to a poet who has not published more than one full-length poetry collection at the time of their publication in Salamander. This award is named in honor of Luisa Solano, former owner of Cambridge's Corolio Poetry Bookshop, and a champion of poets and literary magazines. So yeah, look forward to that in October. And yeah, I'm really excited. As the spiel says, like we had this generous donation given to the English department here in Suffolk, and some of it came to us for the magazine for something poetry specific, and I very much wanted to not do another contest with reading fees and all that. I wanted to really highlight kind of as inclusively and as generously as possible, like just be kind of a middle person between this. So yeah, we're gonna have a guest judge every year. We're gonna have different people up for the award every year. But yeah, there's no reading fees. The reading fees, or the way to qualify for the award is have no more than one book published. Chapbooks are fine. And get published in the magazine. So they read the judge reads the past two issues, the most recent past two issues, and selects from there. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So moving on to this issue 56, really excited about this. Mainly because it's one of the many reasons I'm excited about it is because the first wraparound cover. I figured out how to do that in InDesign. For those of y'all who don't know, part of my job as editor-in-chief is not just to read all the submissions across all genres and work with the staff and hire people and do things like that, but also to put the issue together in software and the magic of InDesign. But I found out how to do wraparounds, and I think this is a really good one. I'd actually had a different painting from Jacinto Guevara for the cover, but as soon as I saw this blown up, I'm like, nah, that's it. So it's very summery, I feel. All right, so as for our readers, the reading order is going to be, I'm going to go with Brent Ameneyro first, and then Milica Mijatović second, and then taking us home will be Joseph Dante. So just a brief introduction to Brent. So Brent Ameneyro is the author of the chapbook Puebla from Go City Press, and I'll be sharing that link in the chat. It's a part of a micro chapbook series, and it's free to download. You can give a donation, support the work. So Brent is the author of the chapbook and the collection A Face Out of Clay, which will be published by the Center of Literary Publishing in 2024. He is the 2022-23 Letras Latinas Poetry Coalition Fellow at the University of Notre Dame. He currently serves as the poetry editor of the Los Angeles Review. And with no further ado, let's welcome Brent.
Thank you so much, Jose. I appreciate it. I'm just going to dive right in and start with my first poem called A Bar at Night. We don't learn to cry. That comes naturally. In jackets, because the gas fireplace isn't working. Purple lights in the trees, like they are trying to teach them how to bloom. In the bathroom, keep it together. I wash my hands, smile at myself in the mirror. We assume time is linear, and the mirror becomes a pond, the toilet flushing a river, cosmic anarchy, the man coming out of the stall, a buck, the muffled electronic drums thumping through the walls is a migrating herd, and I am still learning how to breathe. This next poem is called Frantic Ghosts. We drove into the velvet desert sky, asleep with our eyes open. The shadowed sagebrush appeared in our headlights like fleeting childhood memories. The glowing road lifted past the headlights into our eyes as each rectangular white line was a page turning in our minds. Clouds curled over the mountains as a young girl warned us of floods on the Texas highway. The little crosses with flowers on the side of the road stopped popping up, replaced by machines methodically drawing the black blood of the earth out. Pockets of fog and rain introduced the dark. A purple cloud flashed above an eternal flame. Everywhere we looked was a new display of paranormal light. The longer we drove under the starless sky, as hundreds of miles of not yet tumbling tumbleweeds turned into city lights, the more we forgot about the mundane daylight, the monotonous routines of everyone in the disappearing cities. One day, this will all return to desert, and all the frantic ghosts vibrating in the oleander, turning branches into bones and leaves into flesh, might finally find peace. This poem's called All Good Stories Require a Journey. I need to get out of this chair. There is no sudden, unexpected joy that could happen. There is, at best, a dull pleasure in everything I do here. My feet are cold. My back is sore. The dog is staring at the wall. The longer I sit here, the harder it is to do anything else. I want to open the blinds, peek out at the wet pavement, imagine how it might smell. You wait patiently for me to stand, to walk, to do anything, but this chair and this calm are all we have. Stay with me a while longer. Here, where the line turns to a dot, where you and I have this potential pleasure. We don't need the tediousness of adventure. We aren't interested in the crassness of thrill. Still, like a lake in the early morning, gentle breathing, stay. I'd like to now read a couple poems in a form that I invented called tectonics. For those of you who are poets, a brief guide to write a tectonic poem. You start with a prose poem, duplicate it, and then whatever words you remove out of one stanza, you keep in the other. So this is a tectonics poem. Pan dulce, salchichas picantes, grocery store, the panadería y la tortillería, so small under the shadow of the first American food, and the tiendita was swallowed in a cloud of dirt, whirled up over buildings, snow-capped volcanoes, up, only seen by the birds. Chiles en nogada, the first American, was built and started to look. The giant gray warehouse, then fast restaurant was built where we bought cajeta y mazapan. The whole city disappeared, the dirt roads and spit, vapor, and ash that flew north. And then here's another tectonics poem, which also happens to be an ekphrastic poem after Frida Kahlo's The Two Fridas painting. It's easy to talk the heart, but it's in a painting or in Espanol. Maybe it's easier to talk about the earth, tickled, país a país, connected to she, her own hand, crowded with agitated clouds, not about blood or easy to see it. It's better in color. Sangre, corazón, the body of her skin by our movement, how her heart is her heart, holds the deep blue of the sky, runs all the way down. Before I read my last two poems, I'd like to thank Jose Angel Aragus and the entire Salamander team. Thank you for inviting me to be here, for publishing my work, and for supporting poets from diverse backgrounds. And thank you to everyone in attendance tonight. All the poems I'm reading today, as Jose mentioned, are from my debut full-length poetry collection, A Face Out of Clay, which will be published in June of next year as part of the Mountain West Poetry Series by the Center for Literary Publishing. And if you'd like to read more of my work now, Jose is going to be sharing that link in the chat where you can download my chapbook Puebla from Ghost City Press. And these last two poems were featured in the latest issue of Salamander. Poem ending with a line from Octavio Paz. The Nahua are direct descendants of the Aztecs. In this space where I play in shadows. Aztecs are not a lost people. When I enter this space and spaces like it, I am lost. The largest indigenous group in Mexico today. A high-tech telescope will show the dawn of the universe, the first flicker of life. Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz sometimes wrote in Nahuatl, I will trace the footprints that brought me to this anxious sipping of black coffee, this pile of beard hair forming on my desk. Beyond myself, somewhere, I wait for my arrival. This last poem is called Girl with Lily's Knockoff. I exchanged 2 filing cabinets and $20 for it. She responded to my post on an app that connects people interested in selling or trading within a 30-mile radius. She had another, nude with calla lilies. I wanted to hang it, the one with the purple dress, over my dining table. The flower carrier was on a wall in my childhood home until Mom found out about Diego's tempestuous nature. The more Mom read, the barer the walls, the less music played. I think I saw a purple dress like this one at Frida's house in Mexico City. I don't remember calla lilies looking this grand in the flesh. If not Frida, be used at the funeral for heritage. One early calla lily meaning originates in ancient Greece, where the flower was thought to represent magnificent beauty. This origin stems from a tale regarding Hercules as a baby, according to hgtv.com. How else does one find the meaning of a flower? Sometimes Diego mixed sand into his oil paint for texture, or maybe to preserve part of the land. So if all of Mexico was destroyed, some of it would live on in secret, a whisper to some billionaire art collector hundreds of years after his death. The Rivals sold at Christie's, New York in 2018 for $9,762,500 United States dollars. In comparison, 2 metal filing cabinets and $20 felt like a good deal. The wood frame alone might cost 20. Green leaves larger than her torso, like the ones in the rainforest I imagined were happy to be covered in water far from the city. Some rendition of happiness plants must feel anyway. Here, above the dining table now, white calla lilies with yellow hearts. There is no clear light source. Everything appears bright, full of color. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Brent. Feel free to show some love there. Let's say I'm doing multiple things there. Oh, that was lovely. And I wanted to share too. You had an image early on in one of the poems about, if I'm remembering correctly, it was like a roadside grave or something. And I recently learned that the word for that is descansos in a certain at least in Latinx tradition. I feel like just a kind of a roadside memorial or makeshift grave. So, oh, awesome. Oh, and I agree. A lot of love in the comments or in the chat. Love seeing that. All right. So moving forward with a little more poetry. Let me get my bio business up. Our next reader is going to be Milica Mijatović. Milica Mijatović is a Serb poet and translator. Her chapbook War Food won the Fool for Poetry International Chapbook Competition, and I'll be placing the link in the chat for that as well. And it's forthcoming from Southward Editions in Cork, Ireland. Her poems have been nominated for the Pushcart Prize, and she currently serves as assistant poetry editor for Consequence. Please help me welcome Milica. And the spotlight.
Hello. Okay, you can hear me? Yes. Yeah, okay, cool. Everything's good. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited to be participating in this reading. As Jose said, my name is Milica Mijatović, and I'll be reading some poems for you all. But before I begin, I just want to say thank you to the entire Salamander team for supporting me and inviting me to participate in this reading. And special thank you to Jose for being so accommodating and supportive and wonderful. I'm currently back home. There's a time difference and the Wi-Fi connection was a struggle, but we figured it out. So it's good. Okay, I will begin with one of the poems that is published in Salamander's latest issue. Um, and all I'll say about this poem is it's just been forming, I think, all my whole life, and it finally came to fruition. So here it is. Untitled. The first time someone told me, please speak English, I had to code switch so fast, my languages failed me, and I said nothing. For a long time, my silence signaled submission, and I was ashamed. The second time someone needed English from my mouth, I was in a grocery store checkout line with Mama. Silent, I took her hand and left. Items on the conveyor belt, cart still full, shame like salt water burning my tongue. The third time, someone added a geography lesson and took away the politeness. Speak English, you're in America now. I was at a gas station in Indiana road tripping with friends. My fist clenched so hard I could have led a communist revolution. But I was silent again. We all were. Hurried to the restroom, decided we had enough water in the car to last another hour. Heads down, got out of there, continued our exploration of the vastness that is America. Except now with hesitation, a reminder we are other. English, a lump in our throats, we'll never swallow. A handful more times after that, someone told Igor and me, there are way too many hyphenated Americans now, and not enough Americans. To which Igor grabbed my clenched fist, laughed and said, mismo Srbi. And I unclenched, laughed right back, said, hvala Bogu. And for the first time, I learned silence is a form of rebellion, another language I can add to my lips. Languages are only shameful when they're not spoken. So I set my shame down, rolled it into the river of my multilingual song. Okay, the next few poems that I'll read are from my chapbook, For Food. It was published recently in May of this year, and I'm very excited to be able to share some poems from this chapbook. Okay, the first poem that I'll read is actually the first poem in the book, though it was the last one that I wrote. It was one of the most difficult poems I've ever written, but it brought the whole kind of book together for me. So here's this one. Ex-Yugoslav War, 1991 to 1995. Sometimes I wish I was there during the war. I'd be me, but I wouldn't be my parents' daughter. I'd be their friend, part of their in-crowd, laughing when they laugh, ducking for cover when they duck. Sometimes I wish it so badly I forget I'm in America. Find myself seeing body parts on the ground, watch as Costa gathers them in his hands. I realize he's tending to fallen apples, and I stifle my scream. Later, when he offers me the fruit, I don't eat it. In my dreams, I'm more vividly dodging death by war. It's not that I want to die. It's guilt. Guilt for not being there, guilt for writing of it, guilt for fleeing. I keep scouring history books, poems, cemeteries, photos, voices, villages, wrinkles, graffitied walls, bridges. I keep looking for whom I'm to be ducking from. In my imagination, I carry no weapons. I see no enemies. Who is bombing us? Who are we fighting? How many of us have died wondering? I wish I could have been there to lift a wounded soldier's head, asked, "Šta radimo mi ovdje?" and listened. Maybe he'd know. The problem with three-sided wars is the assumption that two sides must be wrong. The problem with war is the need for one side to win. Sometimes I wish I was there when they tallied the dead and did or did not fumble to declare a victor. Who is it that won? The silence that follows creates a vacuum for anyone to howl into. I guess the loudest wins. In any case, this war follows me like a street dog, hungry and alone, leaves me wondering where the bones and landmines are buried. Okay, this next poem is about and for my maternal grandfather. He died when my mom was 5 or 6 years old, so she barely knew him, and I definitely didn't know him. But I've always had a connection to him my entire life. I dream of him, and whenever I get a chance to go home, I go visit him, visit his grave. And yeah, so this poem is for him. And also the word deda in Serbian means grandfather or grandpa. Residue. In a dream, Deda Savo tells me he misses me, but we've never met, not in this life, not even almost. In the morning, I run to his tombstone, candles in hand, climb uneven ground, weave through the dead people, find him sitting there with family, weeds all around. Plopping beside him, I tell him I've missed him too. Catch him up on my life, although he knows everything already. Deda looks at me as he always looks at me, except he has never looked at me, but we look nonetheless. I tell him about Grandma, how she's still living, how she's still alone. He knows that too, because he's still dead, still alone. I tell him people keep dying, and there's almost no one left in the cellar. The earth keeps eating his house, a little piece there, one here, and I'm scared of the day it's just gone. I light the candles, and we sit in silence as they burn. After a few minutes, I thank him for listening, tell him I'm so happy he didn't forget me. Promise I'll be back as soon as I can. I half skip down the hill, across the field, through the village to my car. Pavle waves to me from his vinograd, and as I drive away, windows down, fingers sticky from the wax. Oh, that's a nice poem to read. Especially, I was just last week. I was at my with my grandpa and my grandma, and I got to see pictures of him when he was young that I had never seen before. So that was great. Okay, the next poem that I'll read is also from the chapbook, and it's called Oj golube, moj golube. The title is taken from a Serbian folk song that's really beautiful. If you're interested, you can listen to it on YouTube or something. And the word golub means both pigeon and dove in Serbian, but in this case, I'm talking about pigeons. And this is the story of my mom giving birth to me. So here goes. Oj golube, moj golube. I was born to pigeons cooing. Was the war over then? Not sure. Officially, maybe yes, but Mama gave birth in a windowless hospital. And by windowless, I mean the windows had been shattered by bullets or shrapnel, so the draft almost killed all of us. The pregnancy ward was one room, beds like soldiers on the front line, babies like bullets aimed at the next 100 years. I asked Mama if she thought she was going to die. She said the pigeons were everywhere and everything smelled bad. I asked if anyone died. She said not everyone noticed this big pigeon in the corner, gray and blue, mora dai maika, poised and happy, warm. Sometimes I think I hear cooing, a sort of calling home. It's as if the pigeons remember Mama holding me till a nurse took me because Mama was coughing, sick. Both of us lived. It had to have been the pigeons. They were our peace treaties, our ceasefires. One time, a man told me every pigeon you see is a prayer. Svaki golub je molitva. And it made me wonder if Mama ever saw any pigeons at all. Okay, this next poem is what I call a dream poem. I have several dream poems in this chapbook. And there's this poet by the name of Novica Tadić. He's a Serbian poet, and I completely took this from him. He has several dream poems, and he titles them in a really cool way. I loved it instantly. Whatever he dreamt about, he would take the object of that dream, the thing that stood out to him most, and he would name it, like title the poem "Object, Dream." So this poem is called "Human Head Dream." It was a very weird, very weird dream. So here we go. Human head, dream. A landmine found him. And he came back to his fiancée as a bodiless soldier, only his head left functioning. The two of them married in my backyard, grenade pins for rings, except he had no fingers because he had no hands or arms or shoulders or legs. And when it came to the kiss, I picked up his swollen head and held it to his new wife's lips. So there's that one. Okay, this next poem that I'll read is the title poem of the chapbook, and I'll just go right into this one. War food. Except for this, there are no more war stories left to tell. I've tasted thunder like you wouldn't believe. Forests have grown in my palms, and men have carved men into trees. See all these stains on my skin? I'm rotting. An apple you shouldn't pick. I've scavenged for friends' body parts in fields we used to race in, trying to outrun eagles above us. How could we have known? Scattered puzzle pieces and broken trinkets. The last lesson as grasshoppers feed. Okay, I think I'll read 2 more poems. This next one is also in the chapbook, and it's a poem. It's a poem about friendship and creating friendship in a place where it's really difficult to do so, depending on your name, religion, ethnicity, etc. So here's this one. Pedestrian bridge over the train tracks in Brtko, Beja. I don't know when the bridge was built, or when the train stopped running, or which side of the tracks was ours and which theirs, or why they painted the bridge turquoise, or why war is obsessed with lines, or who graffitied one of the bridge railings with Teška vremena prijatelju, or why some cement steps are missing, or how. But I know the tracks are a line, the war a blur, the bridge a truth. I know the way home is quickest across the tracks. I know as kids we never went that way alone. But one day the bridge became our meeting place, our common ground, and we'd sit, you with your name and me with mine. I'd say, this place makes me forget to be someone. And you'd look at me bewildered. All this place does is make me be someone. We were both stuck adhering to lines drawn on our knuckles, clenching our fists at the imaginary rumbling of some train coming to prove us wrong. Okay, and the poem that I will close with is the other poem in Salamander, in this latest issue of Salamander. And it's also a dream poem, so that's cool. It's also about apples. There's that. And when we were younger, me and my sister, we had this huge yard. It was our first home, actually our first house home in America. And it was a really big backyard, and we had this apple tree, and constantly apples would be falling. And so we would have to go gather them in these little baskets for my dad to be able to mow. So it was like one of our chores. So that's what this dream is about. That's what the dream is about, and also what the poem's about. Okay. Flight dream. There are so many apples on the ground. I am an apple. No, a bee. No, the bee's stinger stinging my body. Why are there so many apples on our side of the fence? Why can't we just have the tree? Is that what Eve wanted? Maybe Adam did too. Tata wants the apples gone so he can mow. Ivana and I carry baskets. Suddenly, I am the handle on Ivana's basket. She sets me down. I watch as both of us throw some of the fallen back to our neighbor's yard, back to where these apples belong. Will someone ever throw us back where we belong? I am an apple, midair, coming home. Hey, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This whole Salamander team. I'm really happy and blessed and able to participate.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. I'm gonna add myself and remove. And yeah, I just put in the chat along with links to Milica's work. I did find more poems by Milica Mijatović, so you've got that to check out as well. So that's a treat, check that out later. No, that was lovely. And that was so slick. It became an apple. I'm like, okay, we're doing that now. I need to go back to the lab. But no, I love what you said too about friendship, and especially like when we're in the context of like a Zoom meeting and this kind of Zoom event, we've got different time zones, different countries, different states represented here, and it's just such a special thing. And I know that that community and chosen family too is very much something that I work towards, and yeah, that the internet makes possible. So yeah, friendship, let's treasure it. Go text a friend after this reading. I'm not telling you what to do, but I am though. All right, our final reader tonight is Joseph Dante. I'm really excited for y'all to hear him read his work. It's such a lovely essay. Joseph Dante recently earned an MFA in creative writing at Florida Atlantic University, and that's a lot of hard work. So I know that's a fresh accomplishment, so congratulations. His work has previously appeared in Permafrost, Pank, The Rumpus, and elsewhere. He currently lives in Plantation, Florida with his husband and 3 cats. And you know we're cat friendly here, of course. So yeah, without further ado, let me spotlight Joseph and go for it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Jose, and all of Salamander as well for giving me space in your pages. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to be reading my lyric essay from the latest issue. So it is called If Men Had Wings. If men had wings, we would hear nothing but their beating. Someone learn how to tune out the takeoffs, while others would start their day donning a pair of oversized headphones. If I had wings, I'd learn how to fold them behind me like origami, try to hide them like a vice or a stain. Whenever I wanted a moment alone, I'd hover, retreat soundlessly into other rooms. If men had wings, we'd birth another world of air. This would create a new economy, thousands of new industries. The old ones would fail, of course, and travel would change. Sky would become the new sea. If I had wings, I would stay where the ground is soft and sun-drowned. Keep barefoot on the cooling stone after a rain. I'd glide an inch over every body of water. If men had wings, the elemental would become personal. Desire wouldn't be a burden to be carried, wouldn't be buried like a secret. Our weights and graves would float. We'd imagine ourselves open as the weather. If my first crush had wings, it would make perfect sense. His halo of feathery hair, a chest that glowed, a voice that rang high and wide like a choir of cherubim. He might even have pairs of double or triple wings like an archangel, as if he were a part of a higher echelon of divine beings. His small frame would contrast against the command of his presence, but this would only entrance me. Despite his size, he would fight any bully that deigned to raise an eyebrow at me. If I had wings, I would study him from my perch and molt. If men had wings, there would be no rules for flight, although we'd pretend otherwise. If I had wings, I'd become obsessed with rootedness. With all the sky astir, I looked to those who kept the most still. I'd look to those stone figures that stood beneath the waterfalls and let themselves be shaped by the elements. The earth's earth, the bodhisattvas with all their lightness on the inside instead. If my second crush had wings, he'd tuck them behind him and treat them as if they were just another pair of hands in his pockets. Translucent as ice and thin as parchment, they'd be easily missed. Everyone would notice his baggy pants with patches and chains before anything else. If I had wings, I'd develop a fear of blushing. He would sit beside me and tell me about his visions, psychedelia involving candle-headed serpents and platinum speckled palm trees. There would be a few occasions where his feathers would touch mine and I'd look to see if he'd noticed. Wait for him to give me his goofy grin. If my second crush had wings, he'd draw what he saw in the poems I sent to him at 3 a.m. He would leave his sketches on my doorstep, on my desk at school. If I had wings, I would wait to see him get married and have cherubs with the chubbiest cheeks, all featherless, buoyed only by strings of clouds and song. If men had wings, clouds would become punching bags and electrical disturbances, the perfect obstacle course for a reality television series spanning multiple seasons, including celebrity guest appearances. There would be mishaps, of course, and all the more reason to tune in. If I had wings, storms would remind me of my limits. The heavens striking down those who became too reckless would be warning enough. If men had wings, there would be plenty of disappearances. All these attempts at circling the globe, flying higher than the sky and never coming back. We wouldn't need Icarus and his son. Such myths would be too small for our blustery, unfolding world. If my third crush had wings, they'd adorn his ankles. I'd watch him fly across the track at school like Hermes or Nike. His thighs would be a gift from the gods. I'd overhear some girls in class whispering about what he's working with. I'd see him once entering the changing rooms when I was exiting, and he'd acknowledge my presence with the gentle crease of a smile. If I had wings, I'd fold myself up in the stands and stare into the sun as long as I could in hopes of ridding myself of the curse of sight and all the furtive glances that went along with it. If men had wings, there would be billboards on the highway plastered with the most lustrous, gallant plumage, advertising how you could get yours to be just like them. Just call this number, just make a few payments. It's really that simple. If I had wings, I might pluck some of the feathers to use as bookmarks. I might press them into notebooks like dry leaves from places with a more colorful autumn. In happier dreams, they would turn into darts, and I would play a game or two with writers and teachers in smokeless bars. If men had wings, there would be contests with huge prizes for the most impressive wingspans. The judges would score based on other factors like acrobatics and flight choreography, but we'd only pretend like they mattered. When it came down to it, it'd be all about the wingspan. If my first lover had wings, he'd believe himself holy. His feathers would reach to the roof, and any that fell off would become part of his makeshift nest. If I had wings, I'd cower at his abundance, his clear-headed proclamations. Having never seen so many feathers before, I wouldn't know what to do. If my first lover had wings, he would make sure that every single feather not attached to him was used. He'd demand that any strays that didn't prove immediately useful would be fashioned into quills. Before I could ask any questions, he'd say the quills were for me to pen his story. Remember, he'd say, you'll never run out of what you need. If men had wings, Many of those without would wear pinions like earrings or corsages. The winged men would object, but they would be mocked for this. Commentators would say they should feel honored by this kind of attention. They were the fashion and the accessory. What more could you possibly want? If I had wings, I would make a room of myself. My feathers would make a wall around my body and nobody could see in when I'd go inside. When I wasn't sleeping, I'd write myself as flightless and featherless. And every step I took on that steady earth would make a clean snap like a wishbone. If my second lover had wings, he'd show off his collection of feathers to me. Each feather would be a memento from one of his previous lovers. There would be hundreds, and each and every one would have its own box and label with initials. He turned them over in his hands, a curling grin on his face. What did I think of this one, or this one? Wasn't it gorgeous? If I had wings, I'd wonder whether he would pluck one of my feathers after I fell asleep. If men had wings, I'd watch them preen and strut. My eyes would roam when they weren't rolling. If I had wings, I'd stand in front of the mirror and wonder about the pain of having them removed. If my third lover had wings, the talons would always follow. If I had wings, I'd surprise myself by allowing the pain. I wouldn't shield myself or fly away. Even flinching would seem like a failure. I'd watch as my neck and back began to flower with the tender buds of bruises. If men had wings, disappearing would be easy, but so would violence. Gusts and claws, snatching and tearing, cliffs and distance. If all my other lovers had wings, they wouldn't hesitate to turn me over again and again in their minds, in their beds. I'd be grabbed and thrown, always suspicious of how they saw me, what my wings really meant to them. If I had wings, I'd wonder how long it would be until I became one of those men who took off suddenly, who disappeared into the atmosphere without a trace. If men had wings, I'd fantasize about a field of the softest down before my deepest sleep. It wouldn't be on earth, and it wouldn't be in the sky. It would just be. I'd lie down wherever I pleased and time would cease. There would be no waiting and no searching. A man's hand would touch mine and he wouldn't pull me up or out or away. I'd turn and wonder where he came from. If my future husband had wings, I wouldn't even notice. In his photos, I'd notice his cats first, curled up in the bathroom sink. In other photos, I'd notice how he sat with his hands folded at his desk, books and papers everywhere. If I had wings, he wouldn't be able to see them directly in his photos. He would barely see my face. I'd hold up my favorite quill in front of my mouth. I'd obscure myself as much as possible and make him wonder if I was even worth writing to. If my future husband had wings, he'd ask to meet up at a cafe anyway. I wouldn't hear him rustle when he came in. He would order a chocolate chip cookie and I would get a blueberry scone. He'd listen intently, and perhaps for the first time ever, I'd find myself unable to stop talking and unembarrassed by how the words landed. If men had wings, I'd wonder why so many so often wouldn't even acknowledge those without. I would spend close to 30 years wondering about this without a clear answer. If I had wings, I would forget them whenever my future husband was near. Soon they'd learn to be completely still. I'd hope I was becoming one of the winged who didn't need flight, who could make a life without abandoning the ideal of roots. If my future husband had wings, he'd be a guardian of the wingless and the clipped. He'd provide a refuge to those who were pressured to escape without the means. If I had wings, I would imagine a home unfurling around us. If men had wings, more and more I'd welcome the forgetting of flight and escape. These moments of respite wouldn't be many, but I'd be grateful whenever they arrived. If my future husband had wings, he'd pick a quiet moment to drop down on one knee. We would be at home alone. There would be no pressure from the outside world, all those gasps and prying eyes. He'd offer a feather to me, one I'd never seen before. This feather would be striped with deep blues and greens, the color of our eyes. I turn this marvel over in my hand and he'd tuck it behind my ear. He'd pull me into his arms, his wings stretching wide, encircling us. If I had wings, this would be the moment they'd disappear. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joseph. Much appreciated. Let me see what I can do. The spotlight. And yeah, let's hear it one more time for all our readers. Let's throw up all our little, there it is, there's my heart. Oh no, and thank you, Barbara. No, I'm sitting here with the issue, and I think I'm gonna try, I don't know, I'm working on ideas, but I'm just reflecting on how much I learned from the work, from our readers tonight, but also from all the poems and stories and memoir pieces in here. I learned the phrase "hairy coup" from your poem, Barbara, so thank you for that. I did a Google image search and I was just like, I need those. So, but no, thank you to our readers. Thank you all for making time tonight. And yeah, keep an eye out for our October event where we'll be featuring our Luisa Solano Award winner. But yeah, thank you to everyone, and have a good night. All right.